Hello, Steve. This is Jordi Tárrega and Yolanda Sabater, writing for StarWayToRock.com in Spain. We are really glad to talk with you. So, first of all, congratulations for your new upcoming album, Gento, and a new project with Thorsten Questioning from Tangerine Dream. So, the first question is how the band and the project started.
I'd been aware of Tangerine Dream for
not yet. Again, we are deciding on sure.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, I first heard Tangerine when I was 15 years old with the Stratosphere and Ricochet albums. And then we did Cruise to the Edge the same year as them, I think in 2016 or 2017. The first time I'd heard them play since then, and I really enjoyed what they did. Thorsten came along to see a Marillion show in Berlin at the end of 2018 on the Fear Tour, and we started chatting afterwards, and we discussed the idea of us possibly working together. I flew over to Berlin for a couple of days, February of 2019, and we just did a couple of days jamming in his studio, which went pretty well. And then he was coming to London to play a solo show, and we arranged to have a day in the Marillion studio, where he brought all his big analog system, and I had all my backline for Marillion. And yeah, we had some really great ideas straight away. There was a fantastic chemistry between us. We shared a lot of the same reference points. Our love of progressive music. And, over the years, I'd fly to Berlin for 5 or 6 days at a time, usually in December. And we'd slowly develop the ideas and come up with new ideas until we got to the point at the end of last year with my last session. We thought, this is pretty much finished. We just need some real drums, which was when we got Alex Reeves on board to play the drums on the record.
It was clear since the beginning that you wanted to do an instrumental album.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, obviously that's what Tangerine Dream are known for. A lot of my favorite albums are instrumental. I love a lot of film soundtracks, like the Blade Runner soundtrack of Vangelis, and Ry Cooder's soundtrack to Paris, Texas, the Wim Wenders movie. So having something instrumental kind of appealed to me, really.
And you told me that.
So I assume that you
go, please.
Vale.
You say that Alex Reeves on the drums. I have to say that his work is excellent on all the band. I need to listen more and to go deep. But why Alex? It was clear since the beginning?
No, well, we got to that last session last December in Berlin, and we thought we needed some real drums. And we looked on YouTube for all the people we could think of possibly working with. And I originally had the idea of working with a guy called Dash Sohn, who's Trevor Horn's right-hand guy. I saw him play with Tori Amos at the Royal Albert Hall, and I was really impressed with his drumming. But I spoke to my friend Matt Pryor, who plays guitar with Bonnie Tyler, and he recommended Alex. And we communicated. He was on a holiday in Australia at the time, and I sent him some of the ideas, and he was so enthusiastic that we decided to use him. So Thorsten flew over, and we had a couple of days in Alex's little drum studio in North London, and he did the whole album in 2 days, which was incredible.
So I assume that you were in the same space recording the album, you with the guitars, he with the drums?
No, we'd basically finished the album, and we were just thinking, because some of it had programmed drums on, we were thinking this would be more exciting with real drums. So then Alex basically played on the finished tracks. So what you hear is him playing and reacting, because some of this music he hadn't memorized. He was improvising as well, which is good, because the whole essence of this album is like a musical dialogue. It's improvisation and then developing those ideas in a way to give them a form and a structure. So, but he was just incredibly inventive, great groove. He'd he'd play a part, then he'd stop and say, "No, I want to try something else." So he'd change a drum or a cymbal or retune a drum. Yeah, just incredibly inventive and creative.
Do you have plans to tour, or it is just a studio side project?
No, we have some concerts that are being finalized at the moment. In December, 2 in the Netherlands, 2 in Germany, hopefully 2 in Poland. And I've been speaking to our Spanish promoter about the possibility of doing a couple in Spain.
And in UK, nothing?
Not till next year. The reason we can do the European ones is because we're out there for the Marillion weekend in Utrecht in December, and these would be immediately after that. The UK, I need to find out when the Marillion album comes out to know for sure when I can do this. But yeah, I'd like to play the place called the Cadogan Hall in London, which is like a classical music venue, really beautiful, ornate thing, not too big, maybe about 1,500 people, and maybe one in the north of the country, maybe Manchester. I'd like to do Italy. I'd like to do one in Paris. I think it'd be great to play this all over the world if possible.
A lot of concerts. It seems that it's a really strong project.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, we talked about it for a while, what we were going to name this. The original thing was it was just going to be our last names, Rothery and Questioning, which doesn't exactly roll off the tongue. And somebody, I think it might have been Stephen Wilson, said it sounded like a firm of accountants. So then I had the idea that maybe we'd give it an identity, and I had this idea of having the themes tied up with the birth of early cinema. So then Bioscope, I thought would be a very strong name and very evocative to call the project.
No, I just asking because I had a dream to attend to a Girona concert, but on April I moved to England, so I'm living now in Canterbury, so
okay.
I couldn't attend, and I am hoping also some concerts in the south England, not just in the north.
Yeah, well, hopefully London. But Canterbury's a lovely place.
Yeah. No, but London it's fine. Yeah, it's so. Do you have also plans with Marillion for the next year? I assume yes.
Well, we have a concert. We have a festival in the southwest in Cornwall in September on a beach. If you want to get away.
Oh.
Yeah, that's our thing on the Marillion website. But that's the only UK.
I didn't see. I only checked the Utrecht, I think.
Yeah, Utrecht is in December, but this is in September. Let me see if we can find out when.
I will.
Yeah, it's on the Marillion website.
Probably was my.
Yeah, but that'll be cool. We haven't played on the beach for a while. I think the last one we did was in the Azores about 15 years ago. So yeah, that'll be fun. Hopefully the weather will be kind to us.
Yeah, don't say me 2 times.
Yeah.
I attended the concert in Girona.
Cool.
I was there. 2 concerts, 2 days, a Marillion weekend. It was an experience. People all over the world, sold out absolutely, and amazing band. With the first day, you play Marvels in its entirety. So
yes,
how do you choose the album in its entirety in every weekend?
Well, we try and mix it up really, because we've done so many of these Marillion weekends over the last 15, 16 years. So you think what would the audience like to hear? What would work well? And it'd been a while since we'd played the Marbles album, and we played quite a lot of Season's End as well. And yeah, the audience loved it. I loved Girona. We had a great time there. My wife came up with me, and we had a few extra days there. We were there when the power cut happened, which was interesting, but we loved it as a place. I think there's a good chance that Marillion will return there in a couple of years.
So you cannot spoiler anything about cities, the chosen cities.
No. We still looking at where we will play. I mean, we tend to work like a year or so in advance. So now we have some Marillion concerts being lined up in the summer in Germany, and I think maybe some other European shows in September or October. But I haven't had definite confirmation where yet.
Thank you.
I think Montreal and the Netherlands are special for Marillion, I think.
They are, yes. I mean, the Netherlands, because with Port Zealand, it's magical because you have the whole of the facility. It becomes like a Marillion village for those 4 or 5 days. So, 3,000 people from around the world, your most passionate and dedicated fans, all get together and party for 5 days. So, yeah, it's a great time.
Are you also in contact with the prog scene in UK? I mean, for example, do you know Steven Wilson?
Yeah, no, I went to see one of the Stephen Wilson concerts. Yeah, Stephen was a friend of mine. And yeah, no, I saw one of the concerts a few weeks ago. Yeah, which I really enjoyed. I think he's a genius at what he does. I mean, sometimes see some of the smaller bands, but it depends. Depends what's happening, really.
I wanted to go also because he offered 2 concerts in London, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, but I couldn't.
Right.
Jordi is going, I think, no? Today or tomorrow?
Tomorrow is going to play Steven Wilson. It's a sold out, but I got tickets. So
oh, well done. Yeah. No, it's a great band he's got as well, and the whole visual thing works really well.
I want to ask you, it's great to see that you are issuing new stuff. You play weekends alone in Barcelona, for example, last year.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, we got that I have to ask you about, is Marillion at his best moment? Because albums like Fear and 1 Hour Before It's Dark are absolutely amazing. I have to say that most of people used to remember the early days with Fish, but I have to say, wait a moment, please listen to this stuff.
No, I think we're doing better and more important work maybe now than we've ever done. We're going back in the studio in August to try and finish the next Marillion album. You know, and the problem is when you have albums that are very successful, both creatively and commercially, it does create a lot of pressure. You know, you have the pressure not to repeat yourself, to try and come up with something fresh and interesting. But there's some really strong ideas, so I'm hopeful that we can finish the next album maybe by the beginning of next year.
I have one question regarding this because I know I know Marillion has like a career of 40 years, but in fact I know you last year because Jordi was interviewing the other Steve for the DVD. The DVD is amazing.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, yes, the question, sorry. How changes the process of compose, specifically in the progressive music? Because nowadays I think the computers are your friends, are not an enemy. No?
Well, the computer becomes like a tape machine, really. So you all your performances and it make them easy to edit or to create a montage of the best moments. But I mean, our writing process has evolved and changed over the years. I mean, I always used to be the main music writer in the Fish years. And as when Steve Hogarth joined, you know, it became maybe a little bit more equal on a lot of the songs. But really for the last 10 or 12 years, we write by improvisation, by jamming. So we will all 5 of us get together in a room, and just try and come up with ideas, and we record all the ideas, and Mike Hunter, our producer, sifts through those hours and hours of ideas and picks out what he thinks are the strongest moments, which we then put together and arrange into songs.
Then you agree with the use of this, or you are more against?
No, I think technology is one of those things. It's a tool to be used, the same as AI, which is like the monster in the closet for a
Yeah,
lot of people these days.
for the
But
moment.
yeah, but you have to use the aspects of it that are useful to you as a tool without letting it write all the music for you. I think that's such a pointless, soulless exercise. One thing it is really good for you. We use a program called Logic, and because we do this idea of jamming, and we have a SoundCloud with all these ideas on, but they're only a stereo. They're only a stereo file, so you can't change the levels of the vocals or the guitar or the bass or the drums. But with this new version of this Logic software, you can take a stereo file and you can strip out all the different instruments. So instead of just having a stereo, you have a separate track for the drums, the guitar, the bass, the keys, the vocals. So then, if there's something that's really good, but maybe the keyboard is playing the wrong chord, or there's a guitar part you want to hear more than once, it's very easy to get in it and chop it up and move it and manipulate it. So that's an incredibly powerful tool.
This seems useful.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So, you've got to embrace the aspects that are useful and try to ignore the things that are, yeah, music that people have created with a prompt on Chat GTP.
Okay, time to talk about Anorakphobia album because it will be remembered as the first crowdfunding in music history. You were the first one. So
Yeah.
we can say that Marillion fans are absolutely amazing.
No, absolutely. I mean, yeah, we became aware of the strength of the fans when we did the American Tour Fund in '97. And then we were, I think, quite shrewd. We had a young keyboard tech who was also a bit of a computer programmer and nerd that understood the internet. So very early on, we embraced the idea of using the internet, which is why we called Marillion.com what we did. Um, and we knew that we didn't want to have more than the 3 albums we'd signed to with a small independent label after leaving EMI. So we wanted to have some way of reaching our fan base directly, which is what the Marillion.com album was about, and the bonus CD that people could send off for. So it meant that when we came to have a choice of signing another deal with an independent or trying to go our own path, we could email 15,000 of our fan base and asked how they would feel about paying for an album a year before they got it, and would they support the band, and everyone said yes. So that gave us that freedom to make Arachnophobia, to then license it to EMI, and that's kind of when the band was reborn in a way.
Yes, okay. We have in the website a specific content talking about perfect songs. And we are discussing, or not a discussion, just sharing opinions about which is our perfect song of Marillion. There were some candidates, Eastern, Hawks in You, Man of a Thousand Faces. For me, also the one in the last one, which is Be Hard on Yourself. But do you have any suggestion, or for you, which is?
I'd say my probably perfect Marillion song would be The Great Escape.
Oh,
Yeah, from the Brave album.
but and you have the clear answer, so you didn't think too much.
No, I'd already. It's a question I get asked quite a lot. What are my favorite Marillion tracks and kind of why? But The Great Escape, Afraid of Sunlight. But there's elements I think I'm so proud of on all the Marillion albums. Cronin the Nightingale, I think, is a exceptional track. Out of This World from the Afraid of Sunlight album, I think, is very special. So, but I think in terms of a song that has lots of different shifts and moods, The Great Escape has that for me.
I need to ask you about the album Season's End because it was a change of many things, and incredibly, I have to say that probably it's my favorite album.
Oh,
So
right. Cheers.
you have to change the singer. Always the change of a singer. It could be
Yeah,
really hard, but in your case
it can
was
be.
okay.
Yeah, it can be. It's usually the end of most bands. I think the difference with us was that because I mean I'd written a lot of the music for Season's End already, and the band as a whole we had confidence in what we were doing. We thought it was really strong, and that the band could survive. We just had to find someone that we could have a strong creative chemistry with that was different to what we had with Fish. I mean, Fish didn't never write any of the music, so the music still stayed the core of what it was. Um, and we had about a year of sifting through really terrible demo tapes till Steve Hogarth's publisher sent a tape with some How We Live songs, his previous band. And there's one of those tracks called Games in Germany that we thought, wow, this is a great voice. And, it's not in the same area of music, but it's in a kind of comparable. It kind of reminded me a bit of the Blue Nile. So yeah, we got Steve down for an audition, and yeah, it was obvious from the beginning that it could work really well. I mean, he didn't commit initially to joining the band. He had to go away and think about it, which kind of amused us at the time. But he made the right choice.
Which is
I want
this?
to ask you,
Go, please.
sorry, if you feel any difference in the public that attend to your own concert, only instrumental, and the public that attend to a Marillion concert, for example, because even the instrumental music is amazing, I think it's not for all the publics.
No, but what I started doing very early on with my solo band is that it's not all instrumental. We have that like two halves of the set, and these days it's even like the first third maybe is instrumental, and then I will play a selection of my favorite Marillion songs, the songs I had the most to do with the creation of, maybe some early Marillion songs that Marillion don't play anymore. So when I played in Barcelona, was that last year? I can't remember. I think it was last year.
2024, 2 nights. Yeah, and it was
Yeah,
the
exactly. Yeah. So we played all of Misplaced Childhood, on all of Clutching at Straws, and parts of Holidays in Eden and Afraid of Sunlight. So it was a cross section of stuff, but it's really interesting because you have both. It's a celebration of my career, not only the instrumental stuff from Ghost of Pripyat, but also yeah, playing those songs I feel particularly proud of from the Fish years as well.
Because I understood that with Bioscope you are gonna only keep the instrumental part, but no, it's also a
Yeah.
mix of everything.
Yeah, no,
Perfect.
no. With Bioscope, it will just be the Bioscope album, and we'll play another 30 minutes of instrumental music as well. I'm really talking about with the Steve Rothery band, like
Yeah.
I did in Barcelona. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm really looking forward to it. The idea of playing with Alex Reeves, the drummer, again, it's very exciting.
it was sad when you play in Barcelona because the same weekend was the Beep Rock Festival.
Right.
At the same time, and was come on, but I
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
go.
That's always the way. But I will come back, definitely. Hopefully both with the Bioscope album and with my solo band as well. Because those were two of the best concerts we've played, the ones in Barcelona. So yeah, we will return.
Returning to your new album, could you tell me about Bioscope, the name and the front cover? Because it's obvious that
Yeah.
there's a concept here.
Well, the whole album, the theme is man's enduring love of the moving image, from the birth of cinema to kaleidoscope in the 17th century. The title track Gento is Japanese for the magic lantern, which is a way of projecting images that they had I think the 18th and 19th centuries. Bioscope itself, there's two different aspects to that. There's Bioscope, which was one of the early cinema systems. Two German brothers in Berlin in the 1800s developed the first cinema camera, But also Bioscope. It's a system that they still use in the present day in parts of India and Africa, and it's like a viewing platform. So it's like a thing with like viewing periscopes almost going along it, which is what the front cover image is. It's one of these windows, and you have like maybe 6 or 8 people crowded around this thing looking in while moving images are projected inside it. Yeah, exactly. So, like I say, it's still used if you Google it, Bioscope. It's still a thing.
Yolanda?
Yeah, because I think you are also your hobby is also the photography. I'm right? Or
Yes, yeah, that's my other
yeah.
passion. That's always been my other passion. I'm not much good for anything else, but music, playing the guitar and photography. That's my skills in life. So yeah,
We
no,
have
I'm always
also we do also like yeah, I don't know, reportaje.
A
Anyway,
report,
we
well, a
select
special
some
report.
reports. Yes,
right.
people that select their 10 best pictures. So if you want to join us, you are invited also.
Oh, thank you. I actually released a book of my photos from the first stage of the up until just before the Brave album. It's called Postcards from the Road, which it's been quite successful. I mean, it's a big, heavy book, so it's very expensive to post around the world. But I'm going to do a second and a third volume of that at some point once I've finished all my other projects. Now the Bioscope album is finished. I'm trying to finish an album I'm doing with Steve Hackett. Um, so yeah, but at some point in the next couple of years, I will do another photography book as well.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Okay, when I was a kid, I remember a series called The Young Ones.
Oh yes, yeah.
Well,
Hawkwind or Brilliant. Yeah, yeah,
there was a gag with the Marillion, with the
yeah.
Nigel Planner say, "Oh, please, play Marillion song." So
Yeah.
I remember, but later the boys create a band called Bad News. I don't know if you
That's right.
remember.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. No, he actually supported us at one of our shows in London at the Hammersmith audience in persona as Neil. So yeah, it was funny that him and one of the other guys from that same comedy group formed Bad News. Eric, Adrian Edmondson. Yeah.
yeah. Edmondson, Rick Mayall, Nigel Planner. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's funny. It was not quite as accurate as Spinal Tap, but it was. There was some conversations they had, uh, were very very funny for anyone that's ever been in a band.
Yolanda, let's go for the classical questions.
Okay, so classical questions. I have some questions, but we will do the next time. Do you remember which is the first album that you bought with your own money?
I bought a second-hand copy of "Saucer Full of Secrets" by Pink Floyd.
Good
Not
answer.
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember the first time you cried in a concert? Do you remember the song and the band?
I don't know if I've ever cried in a concert, really. It's only usually funerals that I tend to cry in. Yeah, I can. Most of the feelings I get in concerts, if it's something I love, is joy. I think that's what sort of music gives me. Maybe I'm just not going to see the sad enough artists. I love a lot of melancholic music. Joni Mitchell from her early years through to the sort of I think Hijira and Hissing of Summer Lawns were the last 2 albums I really enjoyed of hers. But I mean, some of her music and her lyrics especially are very emotional.
Now, I am remembering that when I was at Marillion weekend, I got a French woman at my side, and in a moment of the concert, started to cry
Oh,
and
you get
cry,
that a lot, yeah.
and was wow. I feel it's amazing that your music
Yeah,
can.
it is. You get that. I mean, men and women, I think with this kind of music, it resonates so deeply in people, and especially like a track like the end of Care. Post the pandemic, anyone that's lost anyone or anyone that had to work nursing the people through the COVID epidemic, it resonated so deeply with them. You see them getting very, very emotional.
Yeah, no, I just want to add that I think music works also for this, also for healthy moments.
Oh, definitely, yeah, yeah. But I mean, I think maybe that's sometimes playing that section. I'd get emotional, especially the first few times we played it, because it's yeah, it's a beautiful sentiment, and it was just such a terrible thing for us all to have to live through, where the world changed, and as a touring musician, everything stopped. Really, you could no longer travel. You wouldn't think
Sure.
of traveling, and there was a question mark for quite a long time as whether or not things would ever return to normal. But I think so. It was good to acknowledge that really that we all had to live through.
My apologies, Killjoy, guys. We do have to jump to another interview now. So
Yes,
we'll have
we
to
are
wrap
on
this one up.
time.
Thank you.
Perfect. Sorry.
Thank you very
Bad
much.
time. Thank you very much.
Have a nice day.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Ciao.
Hola.
Bien, ¿no?
Muy bien. Muy bien.
Guay.
Iba a continuar yo, ¿eh?
Sí, ya, no, pero bueno, yo sí que iba a cortar.
No,
Y a
pero
ver, estaba viendo la hora. Me
estaba
dijiste
viendo.
que
Sí, no, estaba el de Ir Music y ya estaba allí en plan. Pero bueno.
qué mierda que se haya tenido que conectar, tío.
Ya,
Vete a trabajar, joder.
Bueno, estaba trabajando.
Sí, bueno, seguro que estaba escuchando un podcast de fondo.
Paseando la perra, como la. Esto córtalo. Vale. Súper
Pues
bien.
entonces lo subes tú y tengo que descargármelo y recortarlo, ¿no?
Sí, perfecto. Muy
Sí,
bien, ¿no?
perfectísimo. Vaya, más trabajo para Yoli.
Ha estado muy, muy bien, ¿no?
Sí, muy majete, la verdad.
Sí, sí.
Y eso hemos hablado bastante de Marillion, ¿eh?
No. Ha sido un atraco. Al final me he hecho pena y he hablado de. He vuelto a preguntar por la portada y el concepto.
Ya, está
Porque
bien, está bien.
pero a ver, todo fan. Yo hubiera ido canción por canción y háblame. No, pero
Hostia,
muy guay.
The Great Escape, no sé cuál es.
Pues
La voy a escuchar.
no sé si ahora le diremos a Mark. Ha elegido The Great Escape. Qué grande. Pues bien, bien. Vale, pues voy a comer. Me quedaré un rato y
Y yo
luego
también.
voy a ver si puedo hacer un poco de bici. Y nada. Y bueno, tengo.
Menudo fondo más feo has elegido.
Hostia, tío, ya estaba viendo y yo digo, madre. Mira, esta es la
Te vas,
clase.
te vas a contagiar de hepatitis, por lo menos.
Es, ¿Ves pantallas? Es que horrible. Mira, iba con el tiempo y ese momento de mierda, me he equivocado de zoom. Pum, pum.
Sí, ya me da cuenta, pero bueno, eso es arreglado.
Vale.
Sí, yo voy a comer también.
Vale, el viernes
Hala, un beso.
viernes tengo entrevista, juego a pádel y tengo entrevista con el de Creator. Wow, no está mal, ¿eh?
Ah, pero no es la misma persona.
¿Quién? El
Creator y
de.
Dragon Force.
Sí, es el mismo.
Leclerc. Le voy a llamar Leclerc.
Leclerc, sí. No, este tío es muy bueno. Pero la entrevista es sobre otra banda, tiene que se llama Sin Estemarum o algo así. O sea que, pero joder, está guay. Esta semana, si puedes conseguir la de Within Temptation y la de o esta, si las
Sí, no,
puedes.
no, la de Within está ya editada. No sé si subida, pero
No,
editada
no,
está.
Whisper, digo yo.
Ah,
Así ya voy trabajando. Y tengo,
pues así.
tengo 70 audios de Rubén. Es que ya no sé.
Suerte.
¿El qué? Es que yo
Suerte.
habla de que quiere entrevistar al folk, no sé qué. Haz lo que quieras. Vale, pues nada, voy a comer.
No sé si le llegarán las camisetas.
Seguro que no. Esto ya, yo ya suponía que sería muy complicado. Pero es igual.
Mira,
Está bien.
ha dicho update dramático. Hay esperanza. Ah, pues sí, igual sí le llegan.
Eso,
Estoy pensando Incluso enviarle, si el lunes estoy en Novelda, enviarle a Irene para que se lleve uno al Hellfest.
Ostras, pues es una muy buena idea.
Ya, pero siempre vamos tardísimo para todo, pero bueno.
Bueno, es que nos vamos para más. Es que, claro, el curro que tiene todo esto, en fin, pero
Venga,
que...
que tengo 35 minutos para comer.
Vale, venga, entonces...
Adeu.